Title: The Rich Also Cry, A Tale of a Golden Tear. Written by Mira African TV. Once upon a time, in the opulent town of Plutocrat Pines, lived the wealthiest man in the world, Mr. Monopoly Moneybags. He had more money than he could count, enough to buy every star in the sky if they were for sale. His mansion was so big, it had its own zip code. His garage housed a fleet of cars that would put any car museum to shame. Yet, Mr. Moneybags was an unhappy man. Why, you ask? Well, it seemed he had everything but one thing. A caviar omelette. Yes, you read that right. Not just any caviar omelette, but one made from the eggs of the rare, elusive, Siberian Golden Sturgeon, which were said to be more precious than diamonds. You see, Mr. Moneybags was a food aficionado. He had tasted the finest of dishes from around the world, but the Golden Sturgeon Caviar Omelette was his white whale. He had tasted regular sturgeon caviar, Beluga, and even Sevruga, but the Golden Sturgeon was a legend. It was said that its caviar brought tears of joy to anyone who tasted it. And Mr. Moneybags wanted to cry those golden tears. He sent his private jet and his best men all over the world to find this elusive sturgeon. He offered $1 billion to anyone who could bring him the golden caviar. But the fish was a master of hide and seek, and despite all his wealth and resources, Mr. Moneybags couldn't get his hands on a single golden egg. Weeks turned into months, and months into a year. Mr. Moneybags, the man who could buy anything, found himself defeated by a fish. The thought was unbearable to him. He fell into a great sadness and, for the first time in his life, Mr. Moneybags cried. His butler, Jeeves, found him in his gold-plated office, tears streaming down his face. "Sir," he said, startled. "Why, you're crying? The rumors are true, the rich also cry." "Yes, Jeeves," Mr. Moneybags sobbed. "All the money in the world, and I cannot buy the one thing I want most." Touched by his boss's rare display of human emotion, Jeeves had an idea. He excused himself and went to the kitchen. Half an hour later, he returned with an omelette. "Sir," he said, "please try this." Mr. Moneybags looked at the omelette, then at Jeeves, then back at the omelette. He shrugged and took a bite. His eyes widened. "Jeeves, this is it. The Golden Sturgeon Caviar Omelette." Jeeves smiled. "No, sir. It's just a regular omelette. You see, sir, the joy of food, or anything, really, is not in how rare or expensive it is, but in how much you enjoy it. You've been so focused on finding the golden caviar, you've forgotten to enjoy the simple things." Mr. Moneybags stared at Jeeves, then at the omelette. He took another bite, and another. And as he savored the simple, inexpensive dish, a tear rolled down his cheek. This time, it wasn't a tear of sadness, but of joy. In that moment, Mr. Moneybags learned a valuable lesson. The rich also cry, not because they can't get what they want, but because sometimes, they forget to appreciate what they already have. He realized that the pursuit of the Golden Sturgeon Caviar Omelette had made him overlook the simple pleasures of life. From that day forward, Mr. Moneybags changed. He still enjoyed his wealth, of course, but he also started to appreciate the simpler things. He would often sit in the kitchen with Jeeves, eating regular omelettes and laughing at the old times when he cried over not having a certain type of caviar. News spread around Plutocrat Pines that the richest man in the world had shed tears over an omelette. It became a town legend, a cautionary tale told to the new generation of tycoons and moguls about the dangers of forgetting the simple pleasures in the pursuit of extravagant desires. And as for the elusive golden sturgeon, it continues to swim freely in the Siberian rivers, its golden eggs a tantalizing enigma. But Mr. Moneybags never went after it again. He had found a different kind of golden tear, one of joy and contentment, found not in an extravagant dish, but in a simple omelette and the wisdom of a faithful butler. And so, the tale of the rich also crying ended not with a frown, but with a smile and a hearty laugh, echoing around the extravagant halls of the Moneybags mansion, reminding everyone that true joy often comes from the simplest of things. And that, my friends, is the story of how the richest man in the world learned to cry with happiness.